Alright guys, it's time for game 3. Ender versus SawGunner. Both players haven't taken a game. Pretty convincingly, actually. Ultra Stronghold is a very interesting map in PvP. Lots of places to hide things, and the gigantic space across the map can make it more likely for macro games to occur, though. So I'll be very interested to see where it goes from here. It does require really high-level play from both players. To get to that point, though, anybody who does anything like an Oracle DT, you got to defend it perfectly in order to get to it. So even though the possibility is there, I still am not necessarily expecting it, because even at the pro level, it's very rare. Top right of the map here on Ultra Stronghold, it is our red player in the Protoss pieces. AOD is SawGunnerTwo. On top left of the map, we have his opponent. In the purple colors, it is our Protoss player, Outset Ender. So both players have taken one game. It is now the best of one for the victory in the show match. Let's see where they go. So SawGunner saying that he had no idea 4 gates were a thing. Here's the thing about 4 gates. 4 gate is a terrible build against somebody who is playing correctly. Against somebody who is not playing correctly, or has a massive error in their build, the 4 gate is incredibly effective. In fact, so basically, misinterpreting what was going on, going for the Forge instead of the Cybernetics core, it just wasn't possible for SawGunner to have the defense against the 4 gate at all. So anytime you see your opponent doing something really strange where you think he's basically being crazy, it is actually a good response. It is one of those builds that just seriously takes advantage of mistakes, and that's basically what it's there for. Unfortunately, if your opponent's going for anything reasonable, and he doesn't like miss pylons or make any really bad errors, he's gonna kill you, almost 99% of the time. So it is a risky build, but it's one that, even as a Protoss player, I still recommend you learn it. I still recommend you have it in your back pocket and be able to execute it, because it can come in handy from time to time. So quick scout of the base up there from Ender. He's gonna check down into the natural now, look for anything being hit. Nope, his probe's been discovered, so he's just going to set up the patrol points around the base. Meanwhile, over here in Ender's base, we have a very unfortunate situation for our red Protoss, as his probe has taken the wrong direction around the map, and he will not be able to scout what Ender is doing for a very, very long time. This is brutal in this matchup, because everything, everything in this matchup is really, really based on scouting. If you're able to see what your opponent's doing and you can't see what he's doing, you're going to have a very hard time responding. You don't know if he's going for DTs, so getting the quick robo up in time in order to have the observer out quickly is difficult. So what's going to be important for SawGunner is that he goes for something safe here. A quick robo is one potential option in order to safeguard against a lot of different things. It's not perfect, though, as the quick robo play is vulnerable to Stargate play. There's really nothing he can do that will close all the gaps, but that would at least cover a lot of the Twilight tech, or like Blink tech. It would cover 4-gate, it would cover DTs. So it does cover a lot of things, but there's no way to be totally safe in PvP without at least some scouting. Now, the good thing is he gets into the space and he sees nothing particularly unusual. He sees 2 gateways, he sees a Cybernetics core. It's not being chrono boosted, though he does see that a lot of chrono boost has actually been saved by Ender. This is a sign of some type of aggression. There, he actually I don't know if he saw that or not, but this should be enough for him to suspect. And actually, Chrono Boost going down into the probes here is a little bit of an error here from Ender. He really should not be doing that. If he is going to go for a gateway attack, this is what happened. Okay, this is why he called him a butthole. He stole, Ender did steal one of the SawGunner's gases. Now, the thing is, if you only get one when you do this, it actually isn't that great. Like, it limits him a little bit. Like, he's going to get that second gas a little bit later, but it's not going to stop him from getting down to tech quicker. And it looks like SawGunner doesn't care at all, because he's going for a Nexus anyway. So, while annoying, and it does give him the ability to kind of scout what's going on, beyond knowing that a Zealot and a Mothership core is here, he actually hasn't gotten too much relevant information. He said a lot of Chronobus is being saved up again, yes, but beyond that, doesn't know a ton. Also, Protoss, you're asking about, you haven't seen yourself on the list. The roster is not updated. So, I did get your sign up, though. I did get that email out to you, I believe. So you are on it. Don't worry about it. The thing is, like, with the way Google Docs is set up, you can't link to Excel documents, I don't think. So I can't make it so that every time somebody signs up on the page that their name immediately appears on the roster. So I have to update it manually, and it got really far behind. So I'm going to fix that. It's just give it a couple days. 2 gateways are up, going down to Forge. The upgrades. I'm not sure how much I like that, actually, the quick Forge, especially against... Ah, okay. Oracle Tech. As anybody who's ever played Ender knows, he's really fond of this, and he tends to go up into like 3 or 5 of them, even, and they can be very, very, very powerful, especially against an opponent that has been caught unawares. There is 1 Photon Overcharge here, so he should be able to get at least a partial defense against this. Unfortunately, there is only a single Stalker in play. This Sentry will not help out very much against this thing, and will probably die immediately. So, this Oracle should actually be able to get a lot done. Oracle's going to fly in right now. Ender's got his eyes on it. He's going for the attack. 1 probe goes down. 2, 3, 4. 4 is about average, by the way. Gets 5. So if he gets up to 6 or 7, he can actually just leave. And seeing that there's a natural actually tells him a lot as well. Looks like he's going to be able to get quite a bit more than that, and he's just going to back out immediately as soon as the Photon Overcharge hits. 7 kills, keeps all the health in the Oracle. That was perfectly done. Unfortunately, he's going to lose some damage there. But doesn't actually lose the Oracle. As long as he keeps it, he's totally fine. Meanwhile, back in Ender's base, he's grabbing a natural of his own. He's got a number of Stalkers and Sentries for defense. So it looks like we're going to be proceeding a little bit more into the mid-game from here. He's going to grab another Oracle on the top of this. So he's not going down Phoenix Tech, not going for Void Rays. He's just going to grab a lot of Oracles. Again, this is very typical for Ender. And it is very, very strong right now against what SawGunner has set up. Putting down a cannon in both... Mineral Lines, very effective move against a single Oracle, but if Ender actually goes up to his typical 5 Oracles, that's actually not going to mean anything. The Oracles will destroy the cannon immediately and decimate the probe line. But it looks like Ender's got a little bit out of that practice. Yeah, he's going into Void Rays from here. So we have a Sky Toss player against, what is this looking like? Robotech from SawGunner, but he hasn't gotten into any of the big beefy units. He hasn't gotten a lot of Immortals yet, and going down this path, he's going to need some Archons as well. Just Immortal Stalker is very, very bad against a Void Ray fleet. I have been able to beat players myself at times using that combination, even when getting behind in the early game, even expanding after them. If I have a bunch of Void Rays and they have a Immortal-based army, it's very, very bad. Now, okay, got in there. I wasn't able to kill anything else. Did damage a couple probes. But with that Photon Cannon there, there's really nothing that the Oracle can do. He's trying to set up, I think, to attack the natural there. Nope. Okay, just positioning. Doesn't know about the second Oracle yet. Still just saw that earlier one that was already damaged. Very good on him to hide that. And I think at this point, Ender is probably better off waiting until SawGunner leaves his base to try and do any more with this, just because at this point we're starting to see so much in the way of defenses, and you may just lose the Oracles immediately. And he's going to check and there's see that there's a couple units waiting. He's just kind of flying around. At this point, this is probably more of a scout than a probe kill. Oh, he's going to get 1. Not bad. Does see the Twilight Council, which is important information. He knows that his opponent could be trying to go into DT Tech or into just Blink Tech. He's going to have to prepare some kind of response for that. Nice observer here from SawGunner, actually correctly noting that his opponent has nothing in the way of detection back home, just from the fact that he has that Oracle. Double Forge now in play. Going to get those upgrades going pretty well here. It's pretty unusual, actually, to see Double Forge in PvP. Typically, people only go for 1. I don't know why this Immortal is here, but he's going to lose his life if Ender actually notices what's going on. No, he doesn't. Good for him. This Immortal is the bravest Immortal of all time. Unfortunately, it's probably just because of a rally error. But still. I don't know. That's unusual, to say the least. SawGunner's probably feeling pretty bad about that at the moment. Ooh. Throwing down the Revelation. Did he actually lose that Oracle already? Nope. Both of them are still alive. Nicely done. Doesn't get really too much information out of that. Does see the positioning of 3 of the Stalkers, though. A lot of Stalkers in this army going for charge. Ooh. It looks like SawGunner may actually intend on eventually going into Zealots and Archons past this. Maybe not going to grab too many more Immortals, though. He does have double Robo, so it seems a bit odd. Templar Archives. Yeah, he's definitely going for that. Zealot Archon it is, guys. And Ender's actually going for 3rd base. Okay. This is not necessarily a bad move at this point in the game. In order to actually support another tech route, to support 2 tech routes at once, you actually do need 3 bases worth of gas. You can't completely do it on 2 bases. Only a little bit. You can kind of go 1.5, get maybe a couple 1 units from 1 tree, like an Oracle or 2, and then go full into Immortals. You can do that. But if you want to continue to produce units out of a Stargate, and then go into Robotech or go into Twilight Tech, easiest way to do it is going to be with 3 bases. And you can see actually both players going for that. So sweet! Late game Protoss match, guys. Very, very rare, but we may actually get to see here, presuming somebody doesn't just die in the mid-game engagement. That's probably going to happen. Yep. Pylon getting thrown down here at what could be the 4th base. Good proxy location. Ender has no idea about it. So what do we got compositionally right now? We've got sentries, I think, in both armies. Yeah. Nope, only in Ender. Okay, Ender's got a couple sentries that can help out a little bit against the Mortals and Stalkers present in the army, although as it gets more and more Zealot Archon heavy, that composition will be a little bit less effective. The Void Rays are very, very good against the Stalkers, of course. Not so great against, unfortunately, not so great against Archons or Zealots. Zealots, for obvious reasons, they just don't have the extra damage against them. Even though they do fly, they can't really kill them very quickly, so a lot of Zealots can get under Void Rays and just kind of kill everything while ignoring them. It's pretty brutal to watch. It can happen. Archons are really bad at engaging because they bunch up on top of them, and the Archons get area of effect damage, so if there's enough of them there, they'll do a number to the Void Rays. Of course, Void Rays are one of those units, though, kind of like Mutalisks, where they also have this property. If you get enough of them, it doesn't matter. If you get enough Void Rays, they'll kill pretty much anything that isn't a flying unit that's better. Like, a Carrier army and a Tempest army can actually kind of kill them. But it doesn't really look like either player is actually going for that, so it probably won't be relevant here. The real question is going to be, at what point do the Void Rays actually get unstoppable? And I think against this composition, it's probably something like 15. It's like a lot. We're talking a huge amount here. And also, he has to not bunch them up on top of Storms. Before being warped in, probably going to see those made into Archons. No, he's going to hold back for Storm, I think. Well, we'll just watch the production tab. Maybe we'll see that pop up. Another factor here is that Ender does have the ability to go double upgrades while his opponent is still hanging out on... Oh, he's doing the double forge as well. Okay, cool. Good. Grabbing the air upgrades by is Ender. This can help the Void Rays damage output quite a bit. They're already pretty ridiculous even without upgrades, and once you get them, they just get real scary. There we go. There are the Archons right there. So this is starting to look like a pretty beefy army here from SawGunner. Unfortunately, the mass of Stalkers in this army from Ender is really his big weakness. Against these 3 Immortals, they really won't do a lot. They're not going to be great against the rest of these units. He's going to have to blink them really, really well if he gets Blink Tech. If he doesn't have Blink Tech, these Stalkers are actually just dead weight. They really will not accomplish much at this stage of the game. And he should be looking to try and get some more use out of them, and Blink being the one way to do it. Definitely should not continue to produce Stalkers, though. It does not need it anymore. Definitely not. Both players actually have a little bit too many, but in this situation, since his opponent has Void Rays, it's not bad to have them. You just don't want too many. If you rely on the Stalkers against Void Rays will win that fight every single time. Hey, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it, Protoss. People forget all the time. It happens. Like, you wouldn't believe the number of things that I unfortunately deal with from time to time just setting up these show matches. The best attitude you can have about it is just be chill, contact him again, try to set it up. If he thinks that you did it without contacting him, apologize. It'll feel a little weird, but you get the match set up. Don't worry about it. Also, Dark Shrine. Dark Shrine, man. What can I say, guys? Dark Shrine. It's gonna happen, right? It's PvP, it's going into the late game. There's no reason not to have a Dark Shrine at this point. Even with detection, even with cannons at each of these bases, a single DT against a opponent who's out of position can do things like kill these buildings down here. It can start harassing these upgrades. It can go after pylons. It can drive your opponent nuts. Even if it doesn't hit the mineral line, a DT can still be a very strong play. Not to mention, there's still this Oracle here. It can't get a lot done with that many cannons, though. Like, that's a very nice setup against Oracles. But SawGunner and Ender actually going into a 4th base. Guys, we are in for a treat. This is a true late-game PvP. It's very unusual. By the way, the killer composition from what I've seen in GSL is actually Colossus Archon. You get a lot of Colossus and a lot of Archons, and basically almost nothing can kill that short of a lot of carriers. And maybe a lot of Tempests if you're very good with the micro. The thing is, they're just very difficult to... It's very difficult to engage, and the thing is, the Colossus Archon ball is a lot easier to get to, so they'll usually run over the other player. In this case, though, Archons will do well against the Zealots. The Stalkers won't matter much, probably, in the engagement. That's a lot of Void Rays, though. He's starting to hit ridiculous numbers, and oh, we have a move out here from Ender. Actually, both players here. We're going to engage out in the open area, which is a little bit better for SawGunner, lets him spread out a little bit better. So we have a couple Archons really not engaging in the fight, though. And the DPS of the Void Rays is literally just too much for this. He can't get in. He tries to move command into the army to get a better position, but it's just not enough. The Void Rays rip everything to shreds. And unfortunately, that's gonna probably mean game. It's 166 supply to 44. He's even just gonna ignore these 2 Stalkers. They're like, come back, let us kill something. Yikes, we have a lot to learn. We all do. Oops, sorry for caps. And here comes what is most likely to be the final engagement. There are DTs hanging out in the base of SawGunnerTwo. And he said, it's been good, man. GG. Great games today. Great games.